Alright folks, in this video I want to talk a little bit about how focal length affects images, especially the perspective of the image as it relates to humans, as it relates to the scenery. Now, while we're gazing at this picture of me looking sternly at you, I want to share a quick story. Wedding last summer, the bride's mother pulled me aside during a few moments of quiet downtime and said, "I need a new Facebook profile picture. Will you take one for me?" I said, "Sure." Step out here where the light is nice, posed her nicely. Didn't have a lot of room and shot a little bit wide. I don't actually remember what focal length, and I'm not going to show you the picture. And then she said, "Can I see it?" Which, I usually don't show people the pictures on the back of the camera at the wedding because, well, for a variety of reasons. But I said, "Sure," because she asked, and showed it to her, and she was like, I said, "I could take another one if you like." It was clear from her response that she wasn't happy with it. And she said, "Okay." Took another one. She looked at it and said, "That'll do." That was a blow to my ego. The second blow to my ego came later when my partner came by, still had a few moments quiet, and I said, "Bride's mother would really like a nice Facebook profile picture. We like to make our clients happy." I said, and I'm just telling you that. And she's not happy with what I've captured so far. So Christina took her outside, and I was going to say, took her outside and shot her. No, took her outside and took a photograph of her, came back in, showed me what she captured. We looked at them on mine because I'd shot a little wide. The very first thing you notice about this beautiful woman was a bigger nose and chin. Shooting wide really accentuates and kind of draws out the features. Christina had shot either, I can't remember, with the 50 or the 85 now, but those features are gone, and the first thing you noticed in her picture were the eyes. The first thing you noticed in my picture was the nose. And no woman wants the first thing you to notice in a picture of her nose. So with that said, let's dive into some of these examples shot at various focal lengths to just kind of give you an idea of how they change. So here I am, 24 millimeters. This is with the 5D Mark III, so that's a full frame camera, so this is a true 24 millimeters. That is wide. That actually is a little bit wider than 18 millimeters is on a crop sensor. Now we're going to pop down here, and I'm going to hit my little button, and we're going to switch to 35 millimeters. And let's switch back. So you can see that we are compressing the background. I'm taking up about the same amount of frame, but we are compressing the background and bringing it much closer. That's a powerful effect of shooting at a more narrow focal length. And now here we are at 50, and you can see that we're bringing that building in much closer. Notice how I look much closer. I haven't moved. The photographer has moved slightly to keep the frame the same. Notice how this kind of doorway back here really moves much closer. Let's go all the way back there. There it is, way off in the distance, and look at it come much closer, and I'm moving closer to it as well. So the longer the focal length, the way it really sandwiches. Let's move on to another example. Here we are at 25 and 24, framed on this bridge, little scenes in the background, and 35, 50, 70, 140, and 200. And again, so you can really see how that zoom really brings in the background. It also, notice we're shooting at f2.8. Notice how your depth of field changes over the course of that as well. Now let's jump inside, and whoa, sorry about this, but this is how we're going to illustrate this. So again, this is now 28 millimeters on a full frame camera and a very close shot of me. And my head is huge. And yeah, I have a bigger head in general, but it really is quite large in the shot. Now, at 35, still not great. And this is a full frame camera, so 35 is still quite wide. Now look at that difference between 35 and 50. Look at how the shape of my head suddenly becomes much more normal. Here we are. Look at that forehead there. Again, I have a bigger forehead, but it is really big. And now as we kind of pull back and get to a more normal focal length, we start to get better. And then now look, my upper body has suddenly become much larger in proportion to my head. This is a good look. Men like this look because I look a little stronger. Now, I'm wearing a baggy shirt and stuff, but, and then here we are all the way up at 85. So let's go back through those briefly. Yikes. Nice. There we go. And now this last one is from an angle a little bit. Really, looks good. Let's dive into something a little bit scarier. Wow. So this is 12 millimeters on the 5D Mark III. Now, first thing you might notice is we look like we're shooting through a porthole. We got the big black circle around it. Huge, that is vignetting to the extreme. This is the Sigma 12 to 24 lens. It is not a full frame lens. It will mount on a full frame camera, but at its widest setting, you get this look. Now, look at my head. It's ginormous. My nose, my forehead, it's really, really large. At 15, we're starting to lose that vignetting along the sides, but still. Now, look at this difference between 15 and 18. We're already starting to get much better. We've lost that vignetting as well. Here we are at 20, 24, not bad. 35, look at that. Now we're in much closer proportion from this angle. And then here we are at the 50. And again, this is where the head becomes normalized in proportion to the body in this shot. And now my upper body's starting to look, well, I'm not going to say good, but in proportion, it looks like it all works. There we go. Pretty straightforward. So keep this in mind as you are shooting. And most of the time, what you want to get out of this is that you should back up and zoom in. If you're taking pictures of people, they're going to look better on a crop sensor, starting up around 30 often. And 85 is pretty close to the sweetest spot. That's one of the reasons why those 85 lenses are so popular. Now, remember on a crop sensor, 85 is actually closer to 50. But even 35, close to 50. Let's go back to that 50. I skipped it. There we go. That's nice. So on a crop sensor, 35, 30-ish will get you to 50. So back up, zoom in, and you're going to have a much better shot. And also on the outside was the what you want to know is as you zoom, you really compress your foreground and your background and bring those things in tighter. That's why a lot of people think they want a really, really wide lens in landscape, but what that can do is make things just seem vast and empty, which is sometimes cool, but a lot of times it's just empty. So, quick tip on how focal length affects your perspective and the perspective of the body over the course of the shots. Thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you.